Usually I don't make these back to back and like as quick succession as I did, but more stuff happened, so, that's what this series is basically for. You know the feeling that occurs whenever you're anticipating a record and then it just doesn't end up how you envisioned it really at all. You know what I mean? And that's where I want to go to J. Cole and really congratulate this man. I definitely have to give him a thumbs up, give him a round of applause, because J. Cole, regardless of the song that I'm expecting, on a feature is reliable. But I don't think people have heard a solid J. Cole feature on a terrible song. And that's kind of what I'm here to discuss. J. Cole delivered a very decent, listenable verse over the YG single that came out. I forgot the name. I don't want to remember the name. This is easily one of YG's worst singles to date. Extremely generic beat, terrible piano. We got these awfully mixed vocals. YG is giving these incredibly phoned in, incredibly weak ad-libs. His bars are trash. Like, Jesus Christ. I don't know what happened. People have been talking about like the steady decline of YG for a minute now. But it's just not something that I saw. It's not something that I looked at as like a problem. Moneybagg Yo was also on this record, and I think flow-wise he did the best out of everyone. But I wanted to mention the J. Cole feature again because whether it's expected or unexpected, J. Cole tends to deliver. Soon as I heard his voice, I just knew everything was gonna be okay. There was some reason for continuing to breathe. I think Cole truly wants every song that he's a part of to be the best experience for the listener. So he tries his absolute best to make every record that every artist who requests him do a feature on the best thing that he can deliver. And I respect that about him because there's never a drop off in quality for J. Cole when it comes to whose song he's about to do. 21 Savage, YG here, Benny the Butcher. It doesn't seem to matter. That's not something that I could say for every artist. I listened to Freddie Gibbs' feature on that most recent Corday album. I thought he phoned his verse in. I know when Nas is phoning in his verse. I know when DaBaby, I know when Wayne, I know when 2 Chainz. All these artists, I know when they're phoning in a verse. And whether that phone-in verse is indicative of their respect for the artist's song that they're featured on, what they think the success of the song will likely be, or the demographic that the song is playing for, there is always a reason in my mind that I can justify why that artist likely chose to under-deliver. But with J. Cole, that doesn't seem to be the case. Across every feature that he goes on, across every record that he's a guest on, he always seems to do his absolute best, and I have to commend that. I would love if that same energy would be delivered to his most recent album, so I just wanted to prop up the value of a J. Cole feature in 2022. I truly believe that he's going to go crazier. I truly believe that he's probably going to increase the volume, increase the artists that he's going to be working with this year, hopefully. I don't understand why YG paid so much for the J. Cole feature just to underperform on it. You just waste one of the best feature rappers in the game right now. But hopefully this isn't indicative of the remainder of his album that is likely to drop this year. And I'm not just saying it's like recently. Cole's been on this run for 5 years almost, since 2017. I mean, for J. Cole to be on a track with Benny the Butcher, and I like Cole's verse on that record more than Benny's, that's nuts. Keep up the good work. I want to see what else you got in store. Man, I love white people, bro. I mean that unironically. My new favorite pastime is watching white people apologize for being called out or exposed for bigotry. It's the funniest shit in the world. Watching them explain in real time why now them at 50 is different from them at 40. Joe Rogan, from the Joe Rogan Experience, the Joe Rogan podcast, came out to respond to a compilation of him saying the N-word. A compilation. That's how many times this man said it. That there is a literal fucking compilation that he is apologizing for. How do you do that? Number one, that's crazy enough as it is. Say a word that much, knowing the history behind it, and knowing that you would never say it or use it in front of a black person. Any of the black guests he had on, he's conveniently never used it in front of any of them, but it managed to slip out around the right demographic. Basically saying that, like, I know so much more now. I was under the impression that as long as you use a slur in context, then it wasn't offensive. My bad, guys. Now, this all came out as a result of Spotify sticking with Joe Rogan over Neil Young when Neil Young gave Spotify an ultimatum because Joe Rogan was spreading misinformation around our current pandemic, basically. Spotify said, no, fuck off, Neil Young. We don't really need you. You a bitch-ass, old-ass, lame-ass nigga. Kicked him, along with a few other artists, to the curb in order to keep their investment that they made with Joe Rogan. And in response, someone came out with a compilation of every time Joe Rogan has said the N-word. Spotify, rather than, take him off the platform, which I don't expect them to do, obviously. They gave this man $100 million. They're not taking him off the platform. Removed the videos or the audio podcasts where he was saying the word. Outside of that, he wasn't reprimanded any further. Business as usual. Spotify don't give a fuck. From their perspective, out of sight, out of mind. As long as the episodes aren't up, you didn't see shit, did you? So while he's explaining the different contexts to justify him using the word in which he used the N-word, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I know your fans aren't going to reprimand you or cancel you for this in any way, shape, or form. I understand that completely. I don't know what this apology is going to do for people that are already on the fence about you, but I'm willing to hear it because I've watched Joe Rogan interviews in the past and some very recently, generally for his guests. And the type of stuff that Joe talks about, the way he talks to his friends on the podcast, this doesn't surprise me at all. I just don't know who had no life enough to go and watch 70 Joe Rogan interviews where he said the N-word. What is wrong with you, bro? You have to be checked out. There's something wrong with you to sit through 70 of Joe Rogan's podcasts to find out that information. You didn't have to tell me that for me to know he probably said it, says it, or had said it at some point in the past. I would have believed you if you would have provided no video evidence. Who would put themselves through that amount of torture? Watching that many interviews with him is the real N-word. Regardless, though, I'm watching this and I'm thinking it can't get much worse. But it did. It did get worse. Joe Rogan then says there's this other clip that I had no idea about. I'm sitting up here like, oh my God, this shit getting juicy. He says he got really high with his friends, got out. I think he was going to go see Planet of the Apes, he said. And as soon as he said the title of the movie, I'm like, oh, nah. There's no way he's about to say this. He's really doing this.
We're going to go see Planet of the Apes. We walk into Planet of the Apes.
Yo.
We walked
all right.
We walked into the blackest neighborhood we could find.
Joe, that's nuts.
What? Oh, not only did I not need to know that you did this or you said this, what would provoke you to say that in that moment? Now, obviously, he didn't say it to, the neighborhood of black people that he ultimately ended up at that night, because he wouldn't be here today. He says he was saying it because he thought it would make the story more entertaining. So I watched the clip of him saying it, and he's saying it to two niggas. They're white dudes. But for the sake of my story, he's saying it to two niggas. And the joke didn't really hit like that because he had to repeat it. He sounded goofy as fuck trying to explain at 50 why his comments 12 years ago when he was almost 40 could be explained as a simple misunderstanding, which I could understand, which I don't understand, but could understand people understanding your lack of understanding. But then you go on to make the apology worse by letting niggas know something that I didn't even know you said. He could not beat the ape allegations. Now it's fucked up because I no longer take Joe Rogan seriously. Not because he said the N-word, but because every time I think of him, I'm gonna be like, yo, this nigga got out the taxi 20 years ago probably, saw black people and said, look at all these monkeys. And that will forever make me laugh. He just gave me content for the rest of my life. I never have to watch another Joe Rogan podcast again. Just knowing that he said that is endless entertainment. Picturing that in my mind, a young Joe Rogan getting out in, I don't know, Harlem, New York, Detroit, Compton. I need an animation of him getting out of the car and seeing nothing but monkeys. King of the black people. Joe Rogan, you are amazing. No, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You ask a good chunk of his white audience if he said that shit, they come back at you with, well, where's the proof, man? He wasn't using it against anybody. They say it in their songs all the time. I don't know why they're surprised that other people use it too. You make it popular.
Who is they?
The monkey, the black people. I'll look it up for you right now.
Don't worry about that. I got a link for you. I already sent it to your iMessage or Gmail. Just check it. Open it.
Sir, what is this?
It's a verifiable link that you can research.
Sir, I'm blind. I'm blind.
You can clearly see. I don't know what you're.
Sir, I can't read this. I'm blind.
Why not?
Because I don't speak